The morning was not sunny that day. A soft gloom had settled in the air, as though the sky itself had something it could not say. Even the wind moved a little slower, like someone unsure whether to stay or leave. The garden stood still, holding space with his usual calm, his roots deep in quiet knowing. And then she came, the river. Her waters moved with a heavy grace. There was no sparkle in her curves today, no music in her ripples. Her presence was not loud, but it carried weight, like a sigh that had been held too long. The garden saw her approach and smiled in his familiar, welcoming way. But when he looked at her more closely, something in her eyes made him pause. He spoke gently. "Are you all right, my dear river?" The river didn't answer right away. She looked straight into the garden's eyes, not searching for solutions, but simply wanting to be seen. Then she spoke, slowly, quietly. "I want to know, how can I heal my pain?" The garden's face softened. He didn't rush. He didn't try to soothe her with empty comforts. Instead, he asked, "Are you suffering?" She nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "It's deep." The garden closed his eyes briefly, as though honoring her pain with silence. When he opened them, his gaze was full of compassion. "It is good that you acknowledge there is pain," he said. "This pain is real. You cannot escape it. You must face it. You must feel it, not lightly, not halfway, but fully, with all your being." The river's surface trembled. Her voice broke. "It's very difficult," she said, her tears merging into her flow. The garden nodded. "Yes," he said softly, "it is difficult, but you are choiceless. You cannot bypass what your soul has been asked to feel." The river grew desperate, her waters swirling faster. "Then show me ways," she said. "Help me, please." The garden leaned forward slightly, his voice as tender as a leaf falling in still air. "When you experience this pain, what happens to your body?" he asked. "What do you feel in your chest? Any sensation? Any weight? What about your belly, your throat? Any tightness? Any numbness? What really happens within you?" The river looked at him, confused. "What does it mean?" she asked. The garden answered with warmth. "It means you are beginning to take responsibility. You are paying attention to the parts of yourself that are crying for care, parts that have been neglected, overlooked, or silenced for too long." She listened deeply. The garden continued with a patience born of love. By observing those sensations, not analyzing, not resisting, but simply watching, gently, honestly, again and again, you begin to create space within yourself. And in that space, he said, even though the pain may still be there, something soft begins to grow alongside it, a new kind of strength, a quiet peace, a breath of compassion. The river's voice trembled again. "But what about healing? Will it ever come?" The garden smiled gently, like someone who has seen many storms pass. "Healing takes time, my dear," he said. "Think of a lake. If you throw a stone into it, ripples will rise. The surface will stir, shift, tremble. But in time the ripples fade, the water becomes still again. This is how healing works. First, you acknowledge the wound, then you observe it with care, and slowly, over time, the waters of your being settle. The ache may not vanish completely, but it no longer rules you. You become spacious enough to hold it and still breathe freely." The river was quiet now, not because her pain was gone, but because something within her had softened. Something had been understood, not with the mind, but with the heart. And as she flowed a little slower, a little deeper, the wind picked up again, not with sorrow, but with grace. That morning, the river didn't ask for answers. She asked to be healed. But healing is not a quick remedy. It's an inner unfolding. I watched her weep. I watched her listen. I watched her begin again. She didn't leave with a solution. She left with something more sacred, the permission to feel, the courage to stay with her pain, and the beginning of space where healing could grow. We often think strength is about fixing, about knowing what to do. But true strength is this: to sit beside your own sorrow without turning away, to hold your own wound with tenderness, to breathe right in the middle of what hurts, and in that breath, something begins to heal.